I wanted to get an opportunity to answer a question that was asked earlier about what is the impact of brands that are pulling out of DEI on consumer experience. And I am actually excited to share some academic research that sometimes stays behind paywalls, and we don't speak enough with the industry about it. But I just completed a study in which we tried to measure what happens when brands pull out from DEI during, for example, high visibility events like Pride. And what we found is that consumers actually feel a breach of ethicality, and that breach of ethicality hurts purchase intentions for these brands. And we're seeing a 20% decline in purchase intent from consumers who feel that their ethics have been actually hurt. So this is, I think, another great opportunity to encourage us to have more dialogue between academia and the industry, because we get paid to do this research on a daily basis. But sometimes we're not speaking enough with the industry. So I see you back there, and I hope we can talk more about that question, because there's a lot of really good insights from the research that we're doing at Michigan State that I would like to share with you.
And I'm definitely going to reach out to you to get that study.
Awesome.
Thank you for your patience while we did the mic. Tom, you have my questions?
Yeah, do you want me to?
I don't know. Well, everyone stands up for a second. Stand up.
Let's switch.
Us too?
You're good.
Yeah.
Okay, we turn around once. Please. We turn around back. So now we're all smiling and re-energized, and we can sit down.
Good.
And get ready for panel number 3 and panel number 4. Let me try. So this is the panel that almost didn't happen because Juan was rebooked from a flight from Monday to Tuesday, so we weren't sure what was going to happen. My flight was fine on Monday, but I lost my voice, so let's see how it goes. Jackie had an appointment this morning, but she made it. We're very grateful. And then Phil is not feeling well today, so he didn't join us. So we're here, which is wonderful. Thank you for your help. So my name is Esther. I work at Google. I'm representing today my own views and my own experience of 25 years. I have quite a diversified professional experience. I started my career in advertising sales, working for CNN, where I met Jackie almost 22 years ago.
Don't date us.
Don't date us. I worked at Group M for 10 years on the agency side. I worked at Estee Lauder on the retail or brand side for also 10 years, and now I've been at Google for 3 years. So throughout my career, I've always seen ethics, internal compass, moral compass from many different angles, and I can only echo the importance of the internal values, moral compass, to always do the right thing at the right time, wherever you are in the advertising industry, from whichever angle. So one line I draw for myself, this panel is about where to draw the line. Very difficult question. As I was preparing the questions that I will ask you, I was like, how would I answer that myself? There is no right or wrong in some of these instances. There's a lot of it depends. There is context. But then I was pushing myself, because if there is always it depends, and if there is always context, then we don't make as much progress as we need to and as we should. So yes, it depends, and how can we do better, draw a better line, apply a better line. So one line I've applied for myself is that AI knows, but AI doesn't think, and AI doesn't feel. So that's a line for me that has helped me throughout my Estee Lauder and at Google, which is, we have a lot of lines at Google. It's a tough place to work in some cases, but this is an important line for me. So AI cannot ask questions. I ask the questions. AI suggests questions, but I'm still the one deciding which questions I ask. AI doesn't make decisions. It can be a recommendation to operate on a patient based on millions of data and this diagnostic, but the person deciding to operate or not, it's still a human being, it's not AI. And AI doesn't look in the eyes to give me good news, to give me bad news. So AI knows, but AI doesn't think and AI doesn't feel. That's a line that's helpful for me. So we're talking today about where to draw the line. Difficult question, no right or wrong. Let me introduce Jackie, founder and CEO of the agency New Majority Read, delighted to have her, and Juan, our journalist of the Journal of Advertising Education, whom you have met today already. Maybe each one of you can take a minute to share any broad thoughts about specifically the application of not only AI, I mean, a lot of AI conversation today, but it's even broader than that. Where to draw the line for ethics when there is context, when it's not enough to say, yes, it depends, or there is context. How do you think about that? And a little bit of your background.
Sure. I'll start. So, hi, I'm thrilled that the panel that almost didn't happen happened and that I'm here. I'm glad to be here with all of you. I'm Jackie Hernandez. New Majority Ready focuses on what we call the new majority, which is millennials, Gen Zs, and alphas. 58% of the US population, almost 70% of the global population is under 44. And AI is a big part of what they grew up with and what they're growing up with now. So for me, drawing the line is really working with my clients who are advertisers and B2Bs on helping them know the importance of brand reputation in all of this. And where you're materially misleading a consumer is where I would see the thinking and the feeling. That doctor operating as a brand steward, you are that doctor, and you need to think and feel about what are you doing and what are you putting out there in your messaging that might mislead a consumer into buying a product that they don't really want or need.
Awesome. Well, hi again. Again, my name is Juan Mandel, Associate Professor at Michigan State. My research deals with consumer well-being, so ethics is normally embedded in my research questions, one way or another. And I teach at the undergraduate and graduate level, and I share some of the concerns that were shared by our former panelists about sometimes when we get to graduate degrees, we still see a deep lack of advertising ethics education. When I was thinking about this panel, I kind of started hinting at it when I opened this morning with that short speech, I guess, that I gave on rebuilding trust in advertising. We've been learning about what are the lines that we shouldn't cross as we cross those lines and as the society push back against some of the things and decisions that we have made. And yet it seems like we are constantly trapped in the same loop. If you attend Cannes Lions, there's always the same conversation about why do we need more diversity, and nothing happens. I attended for like 10 years in a row and nothing was changing. So I feel that as an industry, sometimes we don't hold ourselves accountable to our own requests for holding ourselves accountable. And another example that I have in where do we cross the line or where do we draw the line, recently I'm sure you all heard that Delta was starting to think about using dynamic pricing based on users' information about the purpose of a trip. So a colleague and I actually collected some data and we analyzed it to show that it depends on how they're using that data. And so if you really need to travel, let's say that you have medical treatment or if you need to attend a funeral, all of a sudden you get extremely bothered by Delta using that information to price your flight if the flight is more expensive. However, people do not feel that it's an ethical breach if a flight ends up being cheaper than what you thought you were going to pay. And so that also calls to further reflection on this question, when is the line enough, right? Because if we can take advantage of some of this technology to use, to bring common good and help the consumer, then maybe we wouldn't have so many problems with it. But the problem is when technology is being used to take advantage of the consumer.
Thank you both. Great reflection. What is the line? How to apply it? So, first question for you, Jackie. You work with clients all the time. Is it more effective to have a single, clearly defined line or more a set of guiding principles that help you maneuver the day-to-day and different situations? Pros, cons, How do you think about that?
So I think we're all in this evolution. You know, it's a marketing, technology coming together, and we're seeing how it all kind of, the lines are being drawn and then redrawn. I mean, if you look at last year, there were some major global marketers, advertisers, category leaders that were using AI for creative. And they weren't necessarily saying generated by AI. Maybe they were metadata, or they had some subliminal or subtle branding that led you to know that it was AI. We all knew it was AI, but they weren't saying it was. Fast forward a year later, and now we're much clearer. You know, it should be AI generated with human direction. I think the evolution is there, and it goes back to what's the transparency test? Are you misleading the consumer in any way? And if you are, stop. You know, you're crossing the line. And I think that having principles is very important, and at the same time, drawing and redrawing the line as we understand how commerce, consumer, and technology work together is what I would see.
It's a mix of both. I remember working at Estee Lauder also. Advertisers draw their own lines. I remember L'Oreal saying, we're using AI-generated images, but not of humans and not of animals. It's just an example of how they said, we're using AI for basically all our campaigns, but not of humans, not on animals. So there are also individual lines by each company, by each client that had come on top of the whole discussion. So, but that's a good reflection. How do you think about it? One set of principles? Is there also a specific line? How do we navigate that?
I think it varies deeply depending on what we're talking about. You were giving a great example about using, for example, AI to create images of humans, right? And so one of the evidences that we built over the years is that people gather a lot of information from those people or individuals that appear in advertisements. And we've heard a lot of a conversation about body positivity and body issues and body image that come from exposure to marketing and advertising. And now if we think about if we decide to use AI generation for creating those models or those ads, what data was used to train them, right? And so we know that based on content analysis and experts that AI models are using a lot of idealized images of people where they look extremely attractive, they have a bias for white people that are wealthy, and so that has a direct effect on the consumer. However, there could be a line, for example, when we were talking about AI influencers, right, where because of the lack of, I guess, a defined anthropomorphism, it could end up leading to more opportunities for people to detach some of those needs for comparisons against those AI influencers, right? It may just be seen as a